right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Another active weather pattern is developing as we get closer to Mother's Day, when the shower and storm chances ramp up around St. Louis.
Tick-tock. Time running out for Missouri to spend $3 billion in COVID relief money. Tonight, our I-Team tracks how much has been spent and how much is left. Our top story, they live next to buried radioactive waste for decades. Tonight, some answers for Bridgeton residents.
We know, based on the data that we have collected, that there is no off-site exposure.
The EPA's plan to clean up a nuclear dump.
Just minutes ago, a public meeting wrapped up discussing the next steps to remediate World War II-era nuclear waste at the Westlake Landfill. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. Tonight, that radioactive material was dumped there in the 1970s. It is just feet away from the Bridgeton landfill, where an underground fire has been burning for years. Here's our Laura Barczewski. She was at tonight's meeting, where no specific timeline was given on when cleanup will begin.
That's right, Mike and Ann. Tonight, the EPA released their findings from their investigation and research at the Westlake landfill. That was actually just completed. Now they have to move on to the pre-cleanup work, which they don't really know how long that's going to take, and then they can finally move on to the cleanup process. The Environmental Protection Agency says radioactive waste from World War II was dumped at the Westlake landfill between July and October of 1973. At a public meeting, the Department of Energy did claim some ownership of this waste.
We are funding this because we're a potentially responsible party.
The Department of Energy told a group of concerned residents they aren't going to stand in the way of this cleanup.
I want this cleanup to occur just as much as you do. There's a group of folks that need to decide what the proportions are. Whenever that is determined, obviously all the parties are going to sign to that particular agreement.
The EPA says their research shows the radioactive waste is mostly contained to a 200-acre site at the Westlake landfill.
Currently, there is no off-site exposure or health risk to the waste that's contained within the Westlake landfill.
But they couldn't speak to any previous exposure or health risks created by the site. Residents like Dawn Chapman, who have been fighting for the cleanup of this waste, say it's affected the health of their families.
I've watched it happen to my friends. I've watched it happen to my best friend's granddaughter, who it was found in utero. So, I mean, I always knew, of course, that it could hit my family, but it's hard to process.
The EPA investigation shows the material is really deep because waste was dumped on top of it into the 1980s, and they found radioactive material as close to 1 foot from the surface. The EPA will now move on to pre-cleanup work. That will take months, and once that is done, the cleanup will begin. And it will be a lengthy process as described in their document.
The Record of Decision Amendment calls for a partial excavation with off-site disposal of the radioactive waste and the installation of an engineered cover over the landfill.
The EPA website says the next step in the process is the remedial design work, and that is scheduled for July through September of next year. Reporting live from Bridgeton, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
Right now, crews are on the scene of a serious crash involving a motorcycle on 270 near West Florissant in North County. This is video from about an hour ago. Within the last 20 minutes, all westbound lanes reopened. We're told the crash involved a motorcycle and the motorcyclist was taken to the hospital. No word on how many other cars were involved. Just a few hours ago, family, friends, and co-workers honored 2 siblings struck and killed on I-170.
It happened in North St. Louis County over the weekend. Our Robert Townsend was at tonight's memorial.
Talked to both of them on Friday.
Howard Bounds lights up when he thinks about 2 shining stars of their family, his niece, Crystal Bounds, and his nephew, Harvey McGee.
Crystal was a great leader, helped everyone, helped brothers, family members, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews.
Big hearts, Harvey and Crystal. Every time you see them, they were smiling.
On Friday, Crystal and Harvey celebrated his 29th birthday. A relative says early Saturday morning, their fun took a tragic turn.
Anytime you lose one loved one, so 2 is definitely traumatizing.
No one knows why the brother and sister were standing in the roadway on Interstate 170 when a Chevrolet Silverado struck them both in the northbound lanes. Crystal died at the scene. She was a 39-year-old mother of 3 and a kindergarten teacher at Katie Wright Elementary School in East St. Louis. Harvey had 2 kids and worked as a banquet server at the Renaissance Hotel near St. Louis Lambert International Airport. He died at a hospital. The driver of the Silverado wasn't hurt. A Missouri State Highway Patrol spokesman tells me the reconstruction team spent the day out here in this North County area. They talked to several business owners, hoping to find any possible surveillance video that could help them piece together the deadly accident.
We'll probably get some answers down the line, but you know, allowing the family to grieve.
Tonight, their focus, uniting in love.
But it's good to see that so many other people know how amazing they were and just they touched so many hearts.
Comforting each other, lighting candles, and releasing balloons for their two loved ones. Gone too soon. Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Tonight, a veteran deputy with the Illinois State Police is recovering after being shot while trying to help a stranded driver. This happened overnight on Interstate 64 near Mount Vernon. At some point, the trooper and 23-year-old Brandon Griffin from New Mexico got into an altercation and gunfire was exchanged. Griffin was shot and killed. The trooper was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. People in town are calling him a hero.
God bless him, anybody, for being out there in law enforcement. I mean, it is a very scary time, and it just seems every day you turn on the, we keep getting alerts on our phones that, you know, somebody else, there's a shooting elsewhere, and it's getting closer and closer in smaller towns, and something needs to be done.
The trooper, who is a 16-year veteran of the department, is expected to be okay. The shooting remains under investigation.
New fallout tonight in the St. Louis courts, just days after Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner announced she is resigning. There were 4 trials assigned to prosecutors today who no longer work in Gardner's office. Prosecutors asked the judges for continuances. All were granted. Some of them have been continued beyond Gardner's resignation date of June 1st. That means longer times in jail for some of the accused and longer wait times for victims.
It means that there's a chance that those cases won't get met when they should be. And the alternative at that point, in our opinion, is the person should be either released or the case should be dismissed. And the court has the power to do both of those. But ideally, those court dates would be met and we would have an opportunity to advocate for our clients in an efficient manner.
There is some help coming. A local defense attorney has been hired as a special prosecutor for one murder case. We've also confirmed Governor Mike Parson met with Mayor Tashara Jones yesterday and visited the courthouse today as part of his work to appoint Gardner's replacement. A spokesperson says he held a conference call with prosecuting attorneys in the area to, quote, discuss crime and finding a new candidate who values law and order and who can help restore faith in the city's criminal justice system and who represents the community. The person he picks will serve the remainder of Gardner's term, which will end in November 2024.
Tonight, new data suggests a security fix is not stopping thieves from stealing Hyundai and Kias. The software was designed to thwart thefts caused by a security flaw that was exposed on social media. But data gathered by the Associated Press from 7 U.S. cities, including St. Louis, shows that the number of Hyundai and Kia thefts is still rising. St. Louis is among the cities suing the automakers, accusing them of failing to install industry-standard anti-theft devices and placing an undue burden on city services.
We are less than 2 hours away from the start of Give STL Day. It is one of the largest efforts in our region to financially support local groups working to do good in our community.
5 on your side's Brent Solomon is live downtown after catching up with 2 groups who are part of this campaign. Brent.
All right, think about it. What makes STL great? It's not just the sports teams or the festivals, but it's also the people. And that's what Give STL is capitalizing on. People helping people. Something as simple as having somewhere to go after school.
We've been here since preschool.
Can change lives.
You know, they're not in the neighborhood. You know, they're not outside doing God knows what. They're here doing something positive.
It's why the Northside Youth and Senior Service Center takes its mission so seriously.
We come in, we eat at 3 o'clock, then we start doing our homework when we get done. Then at 5 o'clock, we have our free time.
Keeping young people focused and safe. The nonprofit runs off grants and your donations.
But we're trying to branch out, you know, offer opportunities for more kids, just, you know, not just in the Peabody, but other neighborhoods.
That's just one example.
Help make St. Louis a better place to live.
Over at Brightside, organizers offer what's called a demonstration garden to the public.
Enjoy a little respite and peace from the built environment out there.
The goal is to keep St. Louis beautiful. That means supporting volunteer groups.
And so community groups can borrow brooms, rakes, shovels, litter grabbers, get trash bags.
And then there's this.
Groups can get native plant material to improve public spaces in their own neighborhood. So they can turn a vacant lot into a community green space.
It takes money to do it. That's why these groups are hoping you'll give to keep the goodwill going. And there are more than 1,000 organizations who will be receiving donations all day long on Wednesday. All you have to do is go to the St. Louis Community Foundation's website. We've placed that link for you on KSDK.com. Mike.
Brad, thanks.
The giving gets underway at midnight. You can give as little as $10, and all donations are tax deductible. Just text the word GIVE to 314-425-5355. You can also go to KSDK.com/give to learn more.